Hey guys, welcome back. So today I thought I would talk to you all about what I have to say is my favorite cozy mystery series. I know that is saying a lot because there are really so many that I really enjoy and I do have favorites. However, I was thinking long and hard about this, and there is a particular cozy mystery series that I am just so enamored with, and one that I keep coming back to. To be honest, whenever I am in a reading slump, I pick up an installment in this series, and it just always manages to get me through. So with that said, I thought I would share with you all what is my favorite, why it's my favorite, as well as go into a little detail as to why I think you should read it if you like cozy mysteries. Even if you don't like cozy mysteries, there are some elements in it, again, that I think are just universal that makes it such a good series that I just want to gush about it. So with that said, let's get into the intro so I can talk about these books. Okay, so if you haven't already been able to tell from the title of this video, my favorite cozy mystery series is Donna Andrews Meg Langslow series. If you have been around my channel for a while, there's no doubt you've heard me talk about this series or one or multiple of the books many times, and that is for great reason. I do a lot of kind of cozy mystery roundups. Obviously, I have my book roundups where I talk about what I've read that month, and I would say 9 or 8 out of 10 times, one of the Meg Langslow books falls into that category. So like I said, there are a bunch of reasons why, but I guess let's just start out by talking about what exactly this series is about. So Meg Langslow is the main character in the series, obviously, because that is what it's titled after, and she is a female blacksmith who is also an amateur sleuth, and that's pretty much it. Now, obviously, that sounds very bare bones, but once you get past that initial description, it's just so much more to the story. So one of the reasons why I absolutely adore this series, okay, there's multiple reasons. I don't even know why I started off by saying that, but Meg Langslow is a female blacksmith. Number one, that's one of the things that I really enjoy about this series. It's a very odd or quirky or non-traditional job that you would see in a cozy mystery, so much so that I actually mentioned it in one of my cozy roundups when I was talking about cozy mysteries that feature kind of like quirky or offbeat jobs. And I've got to say, being a blacksmith is definitely one of them, and being a female blacksmith on top of that, I think just kind of adds another layer to it that I absolutely adore, because it just tells you about Meg even if you don't know that much about her. So the fact that she is a female blacksmith, obviously, a lot of the time she finds herself in a man's world or a male dominated world, since there's just not that many female blacksmiths in general. I would say, or I would assume rather, that that's probably true to real life as well. She is this tall, strong female, not only just mentally, but literally physically. You have to have some strength to be a blacksmith. And I really think that that blends well with her personality, because not only is she able to, solve these crimes and do her work as a blacksmith, but it really reflects in her personality in terms of being able to hold her own throughout dealing with a lot of the characters and the mysteries in each of the books, which I absolutely love. Another thing that I absolutely adore about this series is the family aspect. Now, full disclosure, I come from a very, very small family. Luckily, my husband's family is the total opposite, and it's huge. But, growing up, I wasn't surrounded by that many family members just because I didn't have so many. And so to read about Meg and her ginormous sized family is always so endearing to me. She lives kind of like in this small town in Virginia, and it's almost like you can't walk down the block without seeing somebody that is a cousin or somehow related to you, and that plays a really big factor in the story, and one that I really enjoy reading about, because again, it really makes you care and invest in the characters outside of Meg, because a lot of them are reoccurring characters. They have their own personalities, their own quirks. I'll get to that in just a little bit, and I just love that aspect of it, and I think it's also unique. It's a unique way to present having a large family as well, because I've read cozies that have been mentioned large families in a more traditional way, in the sense to where, They might be like a large Italian family that owns a pizza shop. I'm forgetting the name of that series, but that exists. But something like that, where you have a large family, maybe it's centered around like cooking, or just generations of families being in the same business. Whereas this is totally different. They don't all fall in the same business. They just happen to all be cousins or aunts or uncles, which I really enjoy. And one of the themes that I guess is kind of prominent throughout the series is that Meg's mother is kind of like the matriarch of everyone, not just of Meg and her kind of individual family unit, but of all of the cousins and all of the aunts and uncles across the board. The mother is kind of like that southern, polite but no nonsense, and she can ask you in such a polite way, but you'll never say no, and she just gets everyone to do her bidding, which I love. I wish that I could meet this woman, because the way that Donna Andrews describes her in the book is so interesting, because again, you imagine this woman who is very stylish, very petite, and yet she's able to present things in a way to where you may have otherwise said no to somebody else, but there is no way you are saying no to this woman. And that's including Meg too. Speaking of family members, again, like I mentioned, there are a handful of characters that are Meg's family members who are mentioned continuously throughout the story that I love. Yes, we have her husband and her children. I feel like a lot of cozy mysteries, will have families that touch on the significant other or kids, but I'm talking about kind of more distant. And by that, I mean, we've got Meg's brother, who is kind of like this laid back, chill guy. He, full disclosure, I think dropped out of law school and ended up starting his own computer software company. Again, that's so detailed to be such a side character, but it plays a part, so much so that I think he has a mystery surrounded about him. I think maybe book 3 or 4. I'm not sure, but I will pop the book up now so that you guys can see if you are interested. But I totally know his character. His name is Rob, by the way, and it's such a foil against Meg, who is very type A. She has lists, and one of the things that's interesting is that he could easily be tossed aside as just this slacker brother who is just the total opposite of our main character, but it goes beyond that. Donna Andrews makes sure to give him multiple layers so that, he's choosing his own path. He might not be like our main character. He might be a little bit slow on the uptick, but in the end, it all works out for him. And there are other characters as well, such as her cousin Horace. Oh my gosh, you guys are going to get a kick out of this. So he acts as the, I want to say, medical examiner in a lot of the books, because again, it's a small town. Obviously they don't have like a large police force or anything like that. And so he'll step in whenever there's a murder to, identify the body and the cause of death, etc. But one of the things that makes him so unique and makes this so quirky is that he walks around in a gorilla suit. And yes, I mean like a literal gorilla suit that you would wear for Halloween or some kind of promotional event or something like that. And, it's quirky, let's be honest. But in addition to just, putting that in there as a little nugget, Donna Andrews goes one step further and explains why. It's not just quirky for small town quirky sake, but it's kind of like his comfort blanket, his Linus blanket, where he has social anxiety and he's not really comfortable dealing with people face to face. But when he puts on this costume, literally, it gives him the courage that he needs to perform his job. And so one of the things that I love that has happened in multiple books is that Meg obviously knows this about her cousin, and whenever there's like a new character introduced into the story, they will try to make fun of or figure out why this guy is wearing a gorilla costume, and she'll just brush it off, or she'll defend him. She doesn't agree that it's weird, because to her it's not. It's just, this is something that's part of her cousin. Everybody in the family accepts it, and to be honest, if it makes him better at his job, then let the guy do what he wants, And I think that's so cute. I think it's so endearing. And again, one of the reasons why I enjoy reading the family aspect of this, because it just gives me the cozy feelings to see, a close-knit family, even if they are large. let's see, another character. Oh my gosh, you guys, there are just so many. And really it makes this story because they're all intertwined in all of the individual books. But we've got Meg's grandfather, who's like I would say, Steve Irwin of the book. He's like this world-renowned zoologist, famous guy. He had his own TV show. He knows everything about animals, and that plays a huge role in the story, which I will touch on in just a bit. You've got her grandmother, which, oh my goodness. Okay, so obviously I love these books, but there's one in particular, The Good, the Bad, and the Emus. I will again put the book up now, that has stood out to me ever since I read it. And that's basically when I believe Meg first meets her grandmother. I won't give too many spoilers, but just to say that the grandmother is not an original character all the way from book one. She gets introduced later, and this basically is how Meg finds out about her. And it was just so unexpected and touching, and not something that you would really imagine a cozy mystery having, just because a lot of the time, again, the subject matter is light, aside from death, and you just don't expect that. And so it just blew me out of the water, and is yet another reason why I really enjoy this series. Okay, so circling back around, since I did mention that her grandfather is like this Steve Irwin, famous animal lover expert guy, it would be remiss of me not to talk about the titles, which I love. First of all, I'm a cozy mystery title sucker. I love so many cozy mystery titles that are like really punny or humorous or kind of relate to each other in some way or the other, and this series is no exception, because every book in the Meg Langslow series has some kind of bird pun to it, which is just awesome. So we've got the Falcon always wings twice. We've got the Good, the Bad, the Emu. We've got Hawk the Angel Herald sings. I'm drawing a blank on every single one of them, but I guarantee every single book has a bird pun, which is just awesome. And you know, to relate it to the actual story, we get a lot of fun tidbits related to animals, which you would think having a main character who's a blacksmith, plus inserting some kind of animals, plus birds would just make it too much of a hodgepodge, but believe me, it totally works. And one of the things that I love is that you end up unexpectedly and passively learning something about animals, be it birds or otherwise, that just makes it interesting and just really enhances the reading experience. And I say passive because, you know, obviously this isn't some kind of science textbook to where you're getting all of these facts shoved down your throat, but it's presented in a way to where you're like, oh, that's really interesting. I can kind of regurgitate that if ever I were on Jeopardy. And I really like that because, again, it just adds such an unexpected element to a cozy mystery that really makes it stand out from a lot of the, let's be honest, cliche cozy mysteries. And believe me, I don't mean that in a bad way. I love cozy mysteries that I know what I'm getting, and that's one of the reasons why I read a lot of them. But with this one, again, you're getting that unexpected element, which makes the book stand out rather than just picking it up, reading it, and then forgetting about it. I forgot to mention, and I probably should have mentioned this at the very beginning, but it's okay. This is a casual, I'm gushing about this vlog. How many books there are in the series. The last time I counted, there are currently 28 books out now in the series. With 2 coming out later this year, and I think that would round that, that would round that out to 30 books. So y'all know I adore series that have a lot of backlog. It's so exciting because if you read one of the books, whether it's book 1 or book 15, and you enjoy it, you know you have this long backlist to go through, and that's exactly what happened with me, to be honest. I think I picked the first book up at my local library. It definitely wasn't book 1, which is super shocking because I am all about starting, you know, from the very first book. But with this series, I kind of bounce all over. But let me tell you why, because I have a good reason, and that's because I like to read them along with the seasons and the holidays. One of the great reasons why I enjoy the fact that there are so many books in this series is because many of them touch on or take place around certain holidays or certain times of the year. And it's just fun for me to read a Christmassy themed book around Christmas, or a book that takes place in the summertime during summer. it's just so fun, you know. It makes it more immersive when they're talking about the hot weather and drinking lemonade and you're baking in the sun, actually sweating where you are. I mean, I'm probably in my air conditioning, but you guys get what I mean. So that's one of the reasons why I don't read it in order. But I would say if you are interested in this series, you can read it however you want. You could start at book 1 and read it totally in order. You can skip around. You can obviously do what I do and read it based on kind of when it's set during the year. I will say that the author progresses the overarching storyline, meaning there are actual timeline points where, say, like Meg meets her husband, or when she has her kids, when they are young, when they are old, the kids I mean. But those are just plot points and not actual spoilers. Those are just kind of life events. So as long as you're familiar with the characters as a whole, you're not really going to be shocked, you know, to read that Meg has a baby. That's not really that pertinent to solving the actual mystery. So yeah, read it however you want. I do have a couple of my own favorites, but I haven't ranked them, so I don't really want to like suggest them all for you. Really, you can pick up wherever you want because the series is just so great. Okay, so I guess the last thing I'll touch on about why I love this series so much, even though it probably has less to do with the actual series and more so the creative choices, but that's the audiobooks. I'm pretty sure I have mentioned in my specific videos related to audiobooks that I love this particular series, but I'm going to mention it again now. I adore the audiobooks of this series. First of all, they have the same narrator throughout the entire series, which you would think is like duh, but I have read multiple or listened to multiple books that are part of a series where they've switched it up, and it's just so confusing. It's such a pet peeve of mine, but not in this case. We've got Bernadette Dunn, amazing voice actor, narrating it, and it's just her, so of course she kind of switches her voice for the different characters, and she does such a fantastic job embodying Meg that I can literally imagine what she looks like. I mean, yes, they describe Meg in the book, but even if they didn't have that description, I've kind of formulated my own image about what Meg looks like based off of the narrator's voice in general. Just a quick side note for those of you who do have Scribd, all or mostly all of the books are available on audio there, so if you're interested in listening to the audiobook, I highly recommend it if you have Scribd, that is. Obviously you can buy it on like Audible or something like that, but if you have Scribd, you know, for $10 a month, you can read as many as you want to. That's not an ad, by the way. I'm just saying one of the reasons why I love it is because I can like binge them back to back. But yeah, I really enjoy the audiobooks, and it just makes it so much more immersive when I listen to them. It's been a while, to be honest, since I've read one of the books, and that's honestly just because I haven't been able to go to my library lately. I'm really weird when it comes to my cozy mysteries because I prefer them either audio or paperback. As much as I love my e-reader, I don't read them on my Kindle. I don't know why. That's probably another discussion for another video, but regardless, yeah, I adore the series. Audio, physical, it doesn't matter. I highly recommend that you guys check it out if you love cozy mysteries, if you love the themes that I've kind of outlined, which I guess let's recap. We've got strong female character with a kick-ass, cool and unique job. We've got close-knit family that's super large but not at all cliche or stereotypical. I don't think I mentioned this, but it kind of goes without saying that we've got that small town vibe, and so with that comes your small town characters. We have the same sheriff throughout the series, which, side note, I do want to point this out, the sheriff in this one is competent, which I totally appreciate. I know oftentimes in cozy mysteries, one of the kind of conflicts is that our amateur sleuth is butting heads with the local law enforcement. That is not the case in this one. They work together a lot. Meg knows her place, so to speak, so she totally respects the police officers, which I love, again, because it makes it more realistic. As much as I love cozy, sometimes, let's be honest, our amateur sleuths overstep their lines, and it's like, what are you doing? Call the police. It's their job to do that. But anyway, yes, Meg, she's got a good head on her shoulders, so she does that. Let's see what else. And again, we've got it on audiobook, which is just fantastically narrated. So that said, I hope I have convinced you to at least try one of the books in the series. I just can't get enough of it. Even if you don't want to take the time to read them, and you want to know more about them, I am more than happy to gush and give you my list of recommendations and tell you why a specific book is my favorite, or characters, or anything, because this series holds such a soft spot in my heart. For the life of me, I don't know why. It's not like I relate to Meg, other than the fact that she carries around like a notebook. She calls it her notebook that helps her breathe, but let's be honest, us people these days would call it your bullet journal, which I get a kick out of, but that's really the only thing Meg and I have in common. But that doesn't stop me from enjoying all of her adventures that she goes on. And I find myself, like, when she's interacting with the characters, kind of nodding along like, you tell them, girl, like, yes, I would do that too. But anyway, okay, I'm done gushing. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please like and subscribe. If you've read any of these books, please let me know, because I do want to talk about them. But if you haven't, again, hopefully I've persuaded you to at least try one. So in the meantime, happy reading, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye!